Hey one, hey all, welcome to Monday, welcome to Countdown Day, and this is going to be a very interesting one. This was a fan suggestion, and it was a bit of an esoteric question, but I think a very useful one for us to really pay attention to when it comes to the construction of the Transformers that we know and love. And it is the best piece of engineering in Transformers. So like, what do you see as either a piece of engineering that you like to see come up over and over and over with your favorite characters, or it may have been a piece of engineering that was a real game changer for how design was approached. A few people tried to vote for an entire character and said that whole mold had great engineering. And while that might be true, that wasn't the intention here. The intention here is a reference to the tips, the tricks, the clever little things that is done during design that makes a mold stand out, or that is an innovation that is carried forward because it works so very well. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this, as voted on by fans, will be the top 10 pieces of engineering within Transformers. That's our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. I hope you're still with me, and I hope that you understand the nature of the question. This is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be a fun one. Of course, I am your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you are in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And like I said, this is the top 10 pieces of Transformers engineering. I'm going to, for each one, kind of show you an example of it, but it's only one example of many, and some of these come with a couple of caveats. Let's get the honorable mentions out of the way first. The honorable mentions are fairly simple. Automorph slash Mech Alive, which in its own way is kind of an automorph feature. Things like the spring-loaded chest of the animated, I think it's spring-loaded, the animated lug nut, for example, right? When you kind of flip down that tail section and whatnot, like the chest opens up and the head comes up, right? I think there was some spring-loaded pieces, for example, even on Cyberverse, Rack and Ruin. So anything that kind of transforms as something else is transforming, right? That automorph feature, or like when you move something, the head automatically slides up, that sort of stuff. The other honorable mention still kind of ties in with that, and Mech Alive was a gimmick, I think, in the live action movies, by the way. The other one still kind of ties into that. It is specifically the hand mechanism of the Siege Jetfire. When he closes his hand, we have the 5mm peg hole that comes out. When he opens his fingers, that slides back in his hand. Again, still sort of automorph, but that was a very specific one, and it got its own votes by itself. So Automorph, Mech Alive, and the hand mechanism of Siege Jetfire. It was so clever, so smart. Would like to see more of it. I like that kind of innovation. They did not make the list. So who did what they did? Well, we're going to do as we always do. And we're going to kick things off with number 10 first. Now, number 10 is going to kick us off with a tie. Yes, we have a tie at number 10. And really it is light piping. This guy has splendid light piping. I'm going to try and show it in a second. And 5mm pegs. And I chose this guy because you know what? He has his null rays in his arms. They're 5mm pegs. He has reflector, a custom painted reflector. In his hand, it's one of the ones that came in the Centurion pack. That fits in his hand because of a 5mm peg. I have a little Megatron from Dr. Wu. That could go in this guy's hand, or anybody's hand that holds 5mm pegs. Having 5mm pegs and peg holes was an absolute game changer because it allows interconnectivity of accessories and sometimes even interconnectivity of characters. It's a brilliant standardized system that honestly was and still is a game changer to this day. In fact, if you look at the entire kind of War for Cybertron line with the whole fossilizer and weaponizer gimmick. That's why we have peg holes here, peg holes up on the leg, peg holes on the back of the wings, peg holes on the arms, peg holes in the hand, peg holes on the bottom of the feet, so that things can keep being attached over and over and over. So peg holes. Then, like I said, tied with it, we have, I hope I could show this. I don't know if that's showing or not. If you can see it, I don't know. Maybe you can see it, maybe the light is just blinding you. But on his arms, the whole back of his head is red. The alternate head that comes with this, the whole back of it is yellow to give him yellow eyes. I mean, light piping is one of those controversial ones because there are people out there, hold on, I gotta try and turn off this flashlight. There. There are people out there who just really detest light piping and they say, it just makes the eyes look dead unless you have the light right on it. And admittedly, there are some where the light piping has not worked well. When it works well, man, it's really cool. Somewhat splendid. When it doesn't work well, it's a bummer. However, enough fans love the game changer that is 5mm pegs and ports, as well as light piping, that fan votes took it. And both of these things conjointly took the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9 is a very specific one again, and this is what I love. This is what we needed. And it is the waist trick of Titans Return Trigger Happy. And to be fair, the jump starters use the same sort of waist trick. And it was used many times. It was used with both of the jump starters. It was used again with the kind of Diaclone color twin twist that recently came out. It was used with this guy. It was used with... who else was it used with? It was used with Metal Hawk, the deluxe Metal Hawk that was based on this. It was used with Slug Slinger. It was used with Misfire. And not only do we have a waist rotation, but we have really, like, this whole piece opens up and flips up, and then the whole waist also turns around for part of the transformation. It's a double movement. And it's simple and it's intuitive, but the fact you have a part that unclips and another part that rotates to give you the alt mode and the robot mode is nice. It is simple engineering, but it feels like involved engineering. It is simple engineering, but it feels like a premium idea and a premium design. And the nicest part is that I have yet to hear tell of anybody who has a waist like this that doesn't snap in, or any issues with the rotation. They were all apparently toleranced quite well. The waist of Trigger Happy, and I guess his mold mates. It has endured through many molds, and fans like it because it feels premium on a really budget figure, right? You know, a mainline guy. How can you not love it? It takes the number 9 slot. Number 8 is kind of a general one, but you'll see how it's specific when I get into it. Number 8 is, I like this, limb compression. Now, some people that voted for limb compression voted for sliders, like we have here, right? The sliding leg on the Generations Trax mold, or Wheeljack, I guess, if you prefer. I always found his slider to be a little rough. We also had sliders, for example, on the Generation Scourge mold, or limb compression when you actually have a joint that moves like the Combiner Wars legs. This is my custom Death Source, by the way, from the helicopter mold for Combiner Wars. The whole Combiner Warsing the leg. We have turned a design feature really into a verb by saying Combiner Warsing the leg, or Combiner Warsing the arm. We all know what it means when you split something open and really compress it up over a thigh, or when you split the arm open and you compress it up over a bicep, something like that. Limb compression. Yeah, it can take something and make it bigger and make the vehicle mode smaller. It's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant way of handling the necessity of limbs and legs and arms to be longer than the vehicle modes would actually allow. Limb compression, whether it's legs, whether it's arms, whether it's sliders, or whether it's Combiner Wars, or some other iteration that I have not covered. But limb compression, that whole idea takes the number 8 slot. Number 7 is one of my favorites. It's a simple one most of the time, though. Sometimes molds don't have this feature, and sometimes it's the sort of thing where you look at it and say, it should have had this feature. And sometimes you look at it and say, I get it, I understand why it didn't have this feature because of design and transformation. the simplicity of a waist swivel. Yeah, good old-fashioned waist swivel. I love Rotor Storm, by the way. But yeah, we see it more and more often now, but there was a time when we really didn't get it, and I'm glad that we get it now. By the way, I'm going to note it now. It didn't get the votes, but this is a great example of something else that got votes that didn't make the list, and that is the entire hip assembly being encased so that when you push forward, the whole hip moves with it. When you push back, the whole hip moves with it, and oops, out to the side. Like, it's open so the hip moves. So like this hip sort of assembly, and I'll get that got some votes, and I get it. I appreciate it. But coming in at number 7 itself, yeah, good old-fashioned waist swivel. Got to love it when your guy can score more dynamic poses. Coming in at number 6 takes us back to Combiner Wars once again, and the Combiner Peg. A lot of people said, look, the methods that Hasbro attempted to use, and Takara, I guess, attempted to use for doing combiners before the Combiner Wars Peg generally kind of failed, right? They weren't that great. We had, for example, the old G1 style, which was okay for its time, but certainly when it came to legs, it offered certain limitations. Then we had things like Power Links, which was okay for its time. Then we had Power Core Combiners. A lot of people note that they were cumbersome. And finally we got the Combiner Wars Pegs, which a lot of people enjoyed because it was a simple slide in, slide out mechanism. And for the most part, the limbs worked well. Granted, there were a few torsos that had some issues. Granted, there were times when the spring-loaded mechanism probably didn't work as well as it should. But in general, the Combiner Wars Peg itself was a game changer for a quick, simple method of combining and popping your gestalt apart. The Combiner Wars Peg. Yeah, that innovation takes the number 6 slot. And here we are at the ever-popular, ever-coveted halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, I'm going to use Blaster to show you this one. See if you can figure it out as I'm doing it. I'm going to open out that. I'm going to flip up that. Very simple. One panel out, one panel flipped up. Flip panels, that's number 5. Some people that voted for flip panels specifically liked when we have panels that can cover like openings in the arms. This, by the way, is an add-on kit. This guy does have openings in his arms. But I'm thinking, for example, of Voyager G-Axis, right? When you flip out his hand, there's a panel there that closes up over the forearm. Here we have 2 panels. I think one of the best ones for showing flip panels is probably something like the Legacy Menasor, and the way you unfurl a lot of his leg in order to form the cab of the truck, or Motormaster, I guess I should say. I think I said Menasor. Or what about the panels on a lot of third-party offerings? Third-party is well known for. Kind of over my shoulder here we have Studio Cell. Cell has a lot of panels that open up and unfurl. The only thing is with panels, once they open and open out, it has to be smooth. It has to be fluid. You can't be fiddling and finagling and in a very cumbersome manner trying to get everything to line up just right. Flip panels, when they're elegant, takes the number 5 slot. Coming in at number 4, we have the mainline Viacon, and specifically the mainline Viacon's legs, which we all know, I think, and love. I mean, look at all of that opening out. There is your hood, there is your windshield, there is your roof, there is your trunk, there is your spoiler. Like, it's beautiful. I suppose one could say, hey, I wish the guy was more involved, but come on. When you fold it all up, no hollowness, chunky leg, and the guy is splendid. One of the best Transformers that was ever done. Don't believe me? Check one out for yourself. The Prime Viacons, the mainline Prime Viacons, and the unfurling of the leg takes the number 4 slot. Now, number 3 is Cyclonus' nose cone. Kingdom Cyclonus' nose cone, which I'm actually going to show with this guy. This is Metal Hawk, who does the exact same thing that Cyclonus does. So, really, see if I can remember this now. I'm going to take that down. Maybe I can't remember this. Maybe I can remember this? I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. So really what we're doing is we're opening the whole chest, and then in essence, and I suppose I need to bring this back too, and bringing back the back. So like you kind of explode the body, and then come on. No hollowness in here because the whole nose cone flips in. Now the Cyclonus one, I think, flips out maybe even one more, something like that. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant way of ensuring we don't have a backpack or something. Instead, what we have is a filled in body, no hollowness. How can you not absolutely love this? I gotta bring these forward again. And the best part is, once you bring, make sure I get all of this brought in just right. There. Once you bring it all in, like a nice, solid, secure body, everything tabs in splendidly, whether it's on Metal Hawk or on Cyclonus. That nose cone in the body that I'm furling, that was genius. I was blown away by it with him, and when I got this guy, I was blown away by it a second time. The nose cone of Cyclonus, or Metal Hawk, takes the number 3 slot. Number 2 was an absolute game changer. They introduced this innovation in a very small way, and probably a bit of an ineffective way during Action Masters, but it really caught on as something used for mainline during Beast Wars. And you know what? It's been used in multiple lines since, right up to the modern time. I'm going to use Macadam here, the BAF of Macadam, to talk just a little bit about ball joints. Ball joints are a blessing and a curse. Ball joints allow Macadam's head to move. A ball joint allows his torso to move around. A ball joint allows his shoulder to move around. A ball joint gives him an elbow. Also gives him a bicep swivel. A ball joint is what lets his leg go forward, lets his leg go back, lets his leg go out to the side. I think this should have also been articulated, but that's another story for another day. Ball joint at the knee. Also even gives you, I guess, a little bit of a inward leg pose, I guess. I mean, yeah, the innovation of ball joints. We love our universals. We love our ratchets. And when a ball joint isn't toleranced well, man, is that ever a nuisance. But in terms of advancing engineering, in terms of advancing articulation, we cannot now, nor could we ever, nor can we ever, underestimate the value of the good old-fashioned ball joint. It takes the number 2 slot. And here we are at the number 1 favorite piece of innovation. There's a bunch more that had votes, and we'll talk about those. But number 1 is so simple, and we've had it in the past, and it disappeared for a while, and now that it's back, man, let's hope we don't lose it again. It is the simple, elegant joy of the ankle tilt. The ankle tilt, as demonstrated here by Lift Ticket. Some of them characters have excellent ankle tilt, some don't. Some don't have any, which is a bummer because sometimes it means you're trying to balance on like the edge of a foot or something. The ankle tilt helps give you a more solid base for posing, whether it's a pose that you intend to place the guy in and never move him again, or whether you're doing multiple poses for something like stop motion or some other sort of storytelling. Anytime that your collectibles stand more solid, stand better, and you can feel secure and confident that they're not going to fall over and topple over, you gotta love it. And the ankle tilt is key to doing that. So key that so many voters thought that it was so important that it was able to take the number 1 slot. There you go, man. 10 down to 1, and there were some great ones on there. Light piping, 5mm pegs, ball joints, trigger happies, waist, limb compression, general waist swivel, the Combiner Wars peg, the Viacon legs, ankle tilt, flip panels. I mean, some great ones. What else had votes but didn't make the honorable mentions or the list? Still some excellent ones. The whole Titans Return headmasters, like the way that worked, they locked in fine. We had little headmasters again. It was great. The when you have accessories, weapons and that sort of thing that transform like outside of arms and stuff, like, you know, they're folded up inside the arm and you can spring load them out or some such thing as that. Or you can open up the hand and rotate the hand in and the other end of it is, I don't know, a saw, right? Something like that. Let's see. I like this one. So somebody talked about how the body of, they thought it was a third-party springer, could open up and then come up and collapse over the, I guess, the upper body to compress it for car mode. I said, so basically, you're talking about doing like the Combiner Warsing the leg, but for the entire torso, right? And he said, yeah, I have not seen that piece of engineering. It could sort of fall under limb compression, except in this case, it's torso compression, right? He also said that in order to accomplish that, you had to split it and then actually use a slider to push the body down. So it's a slider. It's like if a slider mechanism and the Combiner Wars leg feature got together and became amped up and had a baby. That's what that is. I thought it was great. Sliders. Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime's legs. The addition of elbows. Hard ratchets, soft ratchets. The sparking mechanism used for G1 spark bots. The combining method of Studio Series Devastator. Ab Crunch, we don't see that one nearly enough, but it's a great one. I love that one. G2 Laser Optimus Prime's legs, which are largely on sliders. Smooth tolerances, right? The math of smooth tolerances, especially hinge tolerances. Power Links ports had some votes. What else had some votes here? Rubber tank treads, like real tank treads, like you see on, for example, Beast Wars Rampage. The butterfly joints, like, here you go, I got this weirdo handy. You know, like the butterfly back. Sometimes you get a butterfly forward. Butterfly joints, they're great. They give you a little more range at the shoulder, especially, right? Studio Series Dark of the Moon Optimus Prime's arms and how they go out in front of them. Universal joints. First edition bulkheads. I guess he's technically a shell former, but the way his body parts wrap around his torso is kind of brilliant. Helicopter rotors that are spring-loaded by themselves. Again, using this weirdo, like, I guess I should go like this. Like this, right? The moving faceplate of MP1. And last but not least, the way that Studio Series 86 Grimlock's tail compresses into his leg rather than being on the side of it or the back of it or some other odd place. And there you go. A whole bunch of great innovations there. Great innovations, and we all know them and love them when we see them. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Please, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.